Alright, so since the last Limited Bloodline tier list, there has been around 6 to 7 new Limited Bloodlines in the game. So of course, we're going to be redoing this video, as you guys can probably tell. So if you guys enjoyed this video, remember to like, subscribe. Let's go right to the video, guys. Alright, so coming in 21st place as the worst Limited Bloodline in the entire game is going to be the Menza EKG. Now, Menza is going to be in last place for the simple reason of Menza just not really having good abilities overall. All the abilities are easily predictable, they don't do much damage, or they're just outright bad. So, of course, Menza is going to be last place. It does deserve some buff. Now, coming to 20th place is going to be Webb. Now, Webb's going to be coming in 20th, mainly because Webb overall just really isn't that good of a KG right now, because there are just much better EKGs and block breakers in the game. Now, even though that is true, it definitely isn't the worst Limited Bloodline in the game, but the fact that it doesn't have a mode and the actual abilities are mostly meant as extenders and stuff like that definitely is going to make it rank lower in this list. It's also worth considering that this is actually, you can buy this with rogue coins and stuff like that, so if you want to buy it with rogue coins, you can go ahead and do that, as all the Limited Bloodlines on this list. The coming in 19th place will be Raikkonen, and I'm not going to talk about this that much, but the reason why it's going to race to low is because it's generally not really that good for PvP. It's mainly meant as a PvE bloodline due to the C-Spec doing massive amounts of damage, but if it wasn't for the C-Spec doing massive amounts of damage, this bloodline overall would be very terrible. It does deserve some buffs overall, even though some people don't really agree with that. It definitely is a very bad bloodline right now, especially in this meta. Then coming in 18th place, it's going to be Tengoku. This is a very damage-oriented bloodline, but the issue with it is that it doesn't do more damage as some of the other moves in the game. So it's a damage-oriented bloodline that doesn't do as much damage as some of the other damage-oriented moves that don't require a bloodline slot at all. So when you actually consider that, Tengoku overall really isn't that good as the bloodline, but it definitely is a very fun bloodline, so you should check it out if you haven't. Alright, so coming in 17th place, it's going to be Arahaki Jokai. Now, the reason for this is because the mode is quite bad. The actual moves are quite good. Now, what I mean by quite good is that I mean like they're not the worst in the world, so I'll show you guys right here. So Arahaki Jokai third move, as you guys can see, it is an M1 combo extender. You could also combo extend with the moves. It's a type of iframe move. The first move does lots of damage. The second move is a good iframe move. There's not really much to say about this bloodline in general. It's just generally kind of used just for, the third move, but the reason why people don't really use it anymore specifically is honestly because, there's just better bloodlines in the game now, and that's why it's going to be ranked to 17th. There's just better bloodlines. Alright, so coming in 60th place on this list is going to be Satori Ren Goku. Now, this is going to be for a very specific reason in general. Satori Ren isn't really that good of a bloodline, but I do recognize that it's definitely not the worst bloodline in the game, which is why it's going to be in 16th place. There's definitely better, but as you guys can see, Satori Ren still slaps. It still does tons of damage to people. I mean, like, in the end of things, if you're stuck with Satori Ren, there's definitely much worse to be stuck with. The abilities are okay. It has an auto dodge, a pretty good damage ability. It kind of has what you need, but it's definitely not good.
Have you ever gotten 80th spin rarity and gotten something like just atomic? Well, that's because you haven't hit the like button on this video yet. If you hit the like button on this video, you're guaranteed to get 10 million times luck. 100%.
The coming to 15th place, it could be Sen Goku. Now, Sen Goku's become to 15th. This is for, pretty simple reasons. Obviously, the mode is okay. I mean, it is a very cool looking mode. It has very cool abilities in general. It also stacks on the amount of players. I just did 256,000 damage instantly. Kind of funny. But the reason why Sengoku's going to rank this low and not that much higher is because the abilities are super predictable. Like, first of all, like, as you can see, the stun. The stun's a good place lock stun and puts him in the air, but there's just better place lock stuns like Bankai second. You obviously do have the counter here. The counter is fine. It does an okay amount of damage. You can no longer counter against it, which actually is a huge buff. The first move did get buffed, so there's the end lag is now reduced, so now you can actually, use it without getting punished like you would before. But the main issue of Sengoku is that it's just that it doesn't really excel at anything. It doesn't do anything well. It has a subpar counter, has subpar stun. All the abilities, there's much better in the game. Like, up in 14th place, it could be Minakaze. I'm not going to talk about this that much because Minakaze is only good for one move, which is the third one. The third one is a really easy to use combo extender. You got to make sure to M1 at the end of it, otherwise you won't be able to combo extend with it. It does a good amount of damage. It's pretty easy to integrate into your combos. That's kind of the only ability of Minakaze worth using. The first move is kind of hard to hit because it's really hard to click the kunai. The mode literally is just a worse strange mode now, like literally a worse strange mode. And then the second move is just as bad as it always has been. Now coming to 13th place, it could be Ryuji Kenichi. Ryuji Kenichi is solid 13th place bloodline right here. Obviously the Ryuji Kenichi does have okay abilities in general. know, they are combo extendable. You know, the abilities, the issue with Ryuji is that the abilities can be quite hard to hit. Like, the first move has a very tiny hitbox. The second move, you're probably never going to hit in an actual scenario. But the mode is obviously still the best thing about Ryuji, even though it was pretty majorly nerfed, as it should have been, and I'm very glad it was. But the reason why it's really not going to rank that high in the list anymore is because ever since the mode nerf, the abilities are, you know, they're average or below average, and there's not really much going on for it other than the mode. Now, coming to 12th place, it could be Ryan Gaiden. Now, Ryan Gaiden, very solid 12th place right now. They did finally buff the first move so that the end lag is now much less than what it was. So now it actually is equal to the how long the move is. So, you know, now it's very hard to punish the move. It's pretty much, it's an okay move to throw into your kit now, not in any global cooldowns or anything like that. The second move is generally what people use from Ryan Gaiden quite a bit, just because the move is easy to use. It doesn't have that many hand signs. It is a pretty good combo extender. But I actually do think the best thing of Ryan Gaiden is definitely the mode, considering the third move is very counterable, but the mode itself is okay. Now, coming to the left place, it could be Vengeance. Now, Vengeance is going to be this low on the list, mainly because it is a M1 combo extender. M1s really aren't that good in this game right now, unless you actually have the buffed M1s from mode. But, you know, even though they're really not that good in this game right now, it's a very easy to use bloodline. It's really easy to make combos out of it. It's a really new friendly bloodline, so I'm going to be giving it points for that, and it's going to be about halfway through the list. Now, coming to 10th place would be Ren Shiki. This is mainly going to be for the second mode. The second mode does a lot of damage, has a really high damage C spec, and the Q spec is also quite good. Ren Shiki's second mode is really, really good for boss farming, and that's the reason why it's going to rank this high. The actual moves of Ren Shiki really aren't the greatest. The second one is ground lock. The first move is actually a pretty good counter, so there's nothing really to fault about that. But the third move, it can be countered, but it's kind of hard to counter, so, you know, take it with a grain of salt. Now, coming to 9th place, it's going to be Eastwood Karashi. Eastwood Karashi has a really good first and third ability. That's the reason why it's going to rank in 9th on this list, because a lot of the other bloodlines on this list only have 1 good ability or 0 good abilities. So the simple fact of Eastwood Karashi having 2 good abilities, and both of them actually being quite good. First one's an amazing combo extender. Third move is an iframe that allows you to start combos. Generally, it's going to be a pretty good bloodline just because of those 2 abilities alone. The other abilities, I would stay away from them. Now, coming at 8th place would be Ryan Rengoku. Now, I'm just going to put this out there. The mode of Ryan Ren is abysmal, but the actual abilities are quite good. I mean, the first move, you can extend combos with it. It's like a pseudo iframe place lock pull move. It's like all of them combined. The main issue with the move is that the range is quite small. It can be hard to hit at times, but if you know the range of it quite well, you can use it effectively. Like if someone's charging at you, you could use this move to start your own combo, stuff like that. The third move is a stun move. I'd recommend not using this move at all, but it is a type of place lock stun. They can use moves during it. I'd recommend not touching it. And then the second move, which is the counter, if you guys double click, you can actually do a lot of damage to someone, like 100,000. It is a, you know, it's kind of like a counter iframe mix, where when you click on someone, that's when the counter activates. It's more of an iframe attack in my opinion, but you know, the mode is obviously not that good. The abilities don't really do that much damage in general, but the actual moves are going to be why it's ranked 8th. The actual moves themselves are really good. And the coming to 7th place is going to be Diosenko. Now, Diosenko is going to be in 7th place, mainly because of the mode. Now, the mode is going to be the reason why it's going to be in 7th and not lower on this list, because the mode is just that good. The first mode is really good for 1v1 scenarios, and the second mode, which you actually have to unlock, is good for team fights. So it has a mode for both team fights and, you know, 1v1 scenarios, so that's something worth considering. The second move is also okay because it is a form of iframe move, but the third move and first move really aren't that great. Now, coming to 6th place, it could be Bankai Akuma. Now, Bankai Akuma is going to be coming in a solid 6th place on this list. The reason why it's not higher is because it's only really good for its second ability, which is the stun. The mode, you know, you can stack the mode really easily with Z-Spec, simply because it doesn't really drain that much mode at all. But even though it doesn't really drain that much mode, there's other modes of the game now that don't drain as much, or, you know, drain equal to the amount that Akuma drains. The mode is okay. There's nothing really to fault about the mode. The C-Spec is an iframe. It drains mode from people. It's an okay ability overall, but the ability that people mainly use for Bankai Akuma is the second move. The other ones are just kind of moot at that point. Now, coming to 5th place is going to be one of my personal favorite bloodlines in the game, Van Helsing. Van Helsing, solid 5th place bloodline for this list. The third move was finally taken off the auto dodge global cooldown, and that is absolutely amazing considering it is a, you know, you can extend combos with it because of the knockback. The knockback is a type of stun, so you can extend combos with it and stuff. The second move is as good as it always been. You can bypass block with it. You just got to be, you know, wary because, you know, people can use counters against it. That's kind of its biggest weakness. The first move, I actually do really like the first move, but it's kind of bad in this meta just because this first move would probably get you to 1 perfect block, but in general, it's not very versatile of a move. You're going to be using it for one specific combo in your kit. So the best abilities of Van Helsing are the second, third, and mode. The mode is probably one of the best team fighting modes of the game simply because of, you know, the massive amount of iframes it has. So you do have the C-Spec, you have the throwable. Ends up being a ton of iframes when you combine it with the rest rest of the bloodline. Van Helsing, very good iframe based bloodline, and just a good bloodline in general now. Now coming to fourth place, it's going to be Shindai Rengoku and Surge. So they're both going to be in fourth place on this list. Now Shindai Ren, obviously this is going to be here mainly because of the mode, if not only for the mode. Look at the M1s just have absolutely massive range. The throwable was nerfed and now has a very long cooldown compared to what it was before. But the actual abilities Shindai Ren are also good. I mean, the second move is a block break, really easy to hit block break, pretty good to extend with as well. Now I do actually recommend if you're going to be using Shindai Ren, you want to kind of do 3 M1s and then you block, so then you don't ever end up on the ground. That's kind of how people use Shindai Ren. 3 M1s block so you never hit the ground. Very hard to hit you overall. It does obviously have the counter that does a lot of damage. You guys know what Shindai Ren is by now. Now Surge is funnily broken. Like, it's absolutely it's insanely broken when you actually consider the abilities. Now the third move is only stun global cooldown, but actually is a rush move. It goes forward. If it hits someone, it does a lot of damage to them, does a place lock. As you guys can see, it makes a bunch of puddles on the ground right here. Now, if they hit these puddles, it would actually make an extremely long place lock stun. Now, the duration of them, I'm pretty sure was nerfed. They don't last as long anymore. But the first move is not only stun global cooldown. And since it is instant, you can actually combo extend with it just because of the actual stun is so long. You can actually do 2 full M1 combos in it, I'm pretty sure. So 1 and then 2. Oh, they nerfed the duration, I think. But yeah, Surge overall it's a really good place lock stun, move in general. It's really good just for, if you need an extra stun in your kit. This first move is not on the global cooldown. And actually, if you get better at aiming these than what I am right now, you can actually provide, you can use the place lock stun much better than what I'm using it right now. Also, the second move is a block breaker. If you have really good aim, oh, it's not a block breaker. They must have nerfed the ability. Wow, they really made this bloodline instantly terrible, didn't they? They hotfixed this bloodline. No, I'm just joking about the terrible thing. It's still definitely fourth just because it's an EKG with really good, very long stuns. But they did nerf it. Otherwise, I think it would be very close to being first place in this list. And the coming to third place, it could be Shindai Akuma / Rengoku. They're going to be in the same spot. I'll be talking about Shindai Akuma first. Shindai Akuma obviously has the really good mode. So the mode weapon spec, obviously, it's an iframe. It drains the mode from them. It's pretty good overall with the low cooldown it has. The first move is a counter move. When someone hits you, they get ragdolled and the clones actually do attack them. You also teleport to them if they hit you. Now, the other abilities of Shindai Akuma are really not that great. So you obviously do have the third move, which is a place lock stun. It has a Genjutsu move at the end. The second move does lots of damage. You hit it in the place lock stun. And then the C-spec is a type of counter that summons clones of people. You don't take damage. It's pretty good in my opinion, but I do think people would mainly use Shindai Akuma mode for the weapon spec. Now, like I said, Rengoku is also going to be third on this list. This is going to be mainly for the mode. The mode of Rengoku is absolutely amazing. The actual abilities themselves are also, decent. Like, the first move is a block break. It's easy to counter, so I'd recommend you don't use it against anyone that knows how to counter it. The second move is a, generic pull move. Boom, you pull them in. Pretty good overall. The third move of Rengoku is kind of the only bad move of Rengoku. Like, I would say bad. Now, the other move, the actual mode of Rengoku is basically a bloodline in of itself, in my opinion, because it just has, has really good versatile abilities, has an iframe, has a good damage move, has a knockback move, has 2 stuns. It's a really good mode in general, and I do think it kind of carries the bloodline to third place on this list. The coming to second place is going to be Diva Rengoku. Now, Diva Ren in general is a pretty good bloodline, mainly because of the actual abilities. The mode isn't that good, but the actual abilities are. First move, really good for combo extending, M1 combo extending specifically. The second move is a near instant 2-hand sign actual move that it move stack. You guys know how good move stacking is in the game. Now, the third move was added to the iframe attack global cooldown, I'm pretty sure, or it was added to some form of global cooldown, and the cooldown was increased by a lot. So that's something to consider when you use Diva Ren. By the way, guys, what is your favorite limited bloodline of Shindo Life? If you're in the comments below, we'll be checking them out. Now, coming to first place, it's going to be Strange. Now, this one's going to be pretty obvious to the people that are watching this video. If you guys have played Shindo Life at all, you know that Strange is the best. C-spec hasn't been nerfed at all. It's still that time stop, stun, block breaking. It can actually revive you if it's going on and you die during it. Now, the thing that was nerfed was the weapon spec. The iframes were halved, but that doesn't subtract from the fact that it actually hits multiple people. It still does lots of damage. The cooldown is still, pretty low for what it does. The first move is a stun move. Yeah, it is a stun move. And then the M1s actually were nerfed from Strange. As you guys can see, they used to do 10k. Now they do 3,000, so there is that. The second move of Strange right here is a stamina draining move. It has enough knockback to combo extend with it, but generally people don't really use it just because it's kind of hard to integrate into your combos. And then the third move is a block break. I'd recommend not using this move if they know how to play the game at all, because it is very easy to predict and counter because they're going like ning 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 ning. Ooh, and then you can see the giant circle. My dog just got startled by that. You can see the giant circle, and it's really easy to counter after that. Mostly people kind of use Strange for the mode, and it's pretty obvious to see why why. The mode is amazing, but don't sleep on the abilities either. They're very okay abilities too, or, you know, good. Anyways, guys, that's pretty for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, remember to like, subscribe, post it, guys. Bye-bye.